Welcome to Put a Word on It, a podcast presented by Men of Valor. In each episode, we're going to talk with a different man, but each one with a unique journey from brokenness to freedom. I'm your host, Rudy. I spent over 40 years as a TV sportscaster, then retired and joined the Men of Valor program as a volunteer. So join the conversation, reconciling men to God, their families, and society. Welcome to another edition of Put a Word on It, brought to you by the Lee Company. We thank them so much for their support. You know, there are times, even here, where men come into the program and then struggle. They may fall out, but there are some of these men that come back and stay with it because the determination changes. God comes back into their life. It's important sometimes to meet these men that have gone through this issue. And here's the man I want you to meet. Michael Womack is one who now is set and determined that this time it's for real. Michael, I like stories like yours. Guys that came in, made a mistake, and then decided to come back in, but you're unusual because you've stuck with it. What made you stick with it this time?
I just wanted to show myself, God, and my kids that I can do anything through Him and I can overcome anything. And really, I've been a quitter my whole life, and I couldn't quit this time.
Boy, I love hearing that. That's a battle, I think, for so many of us. We don't believe in ourselves. We got to show ourselves, find out whether or not we've got the courage to stay with it. Did you have trouble with that all the time growing up? Trying to be somebody or believe in yourself?
Yes, sir. You know, I'm a very quiet person, and I never had confidence in myself. You know, I never believed that I could do anything. And I think that was the reason I started doing drugs.
A lot of times, it's things that are said to us when we're young, growing up. What was it like growing up? Did people say good things? Did you have parents?
I did.
Okay.
I had a mom and dad, and I got one brother.
Okay. Decent family home?
Yeah. You know, I was well provided for. Had anything I wanted. I was in baseball, basketball, football. I got my first degree black belt in Taekwondo. I was in the Boy Scouts, but my mom was alcoholic, and my dad, he was pretty hard on me, and he worked nights, so he really wasn't there for me the way I felt he should be, and I don't know, I got an escape out of drugs, I guess.
Would he not say things that you wish he would have to tell you that you're doing good, son, you're a good young man?
Yes, sir.
You didn't hear those kind of words?
Not often.
I think there's an awful lot of us that spend our whole lives either hearing good things or some people telling us that we're not worth it. And that becomes a battle. What happened then? How did that? You just said you just tried high school for a little bit and it didn't work out. What happened?
Well, I started getting high when I was 10, Rudy. And I lost interest in everything. So by the time I got to high school, I wasn't going to school no more. My mom pulled me and my brother out and put us in homeschool so she didn't get in trouble for it. And that didn't last long. I just wasn't doing the work.
You said 10 years old?
10 years old.
My goodness. What are you doing at the age of 10?
Smoking weed.
All right. Tell me how it grows. What happens? How do you get in trouble?
I started drinking when I was 12 or 13 on the weekends. And then from there it went to pills, from pills to cocaine. I had a lot of pain and I didn't know how to deal with it. You know, we didn't talk about emotions in my family. So, you know, drug just gave me a way out to where I didn't have to deal with nothing.
Did you get in trouble for it?
I did.
What kind of trouble? I
got grounded, I got my butt whipped. But that just made me want to do it more. My dad was so hard on me that I think I developed this hatred for him. And, you know, I didn't understand the stresses and the pressure he was under. You know, dealing with my mom's drinking, but I think I went out of my way to make it hard on him. And it really just developed a hatred in me. And it just grew and grew up into my adulthood.
How did it lead to incarceration?
Well, I got arrested my first time when I was 18 for stealing. And then I kind of straightened up a little bit. When my first daughter was born, I quit drinking, but I was still getting high. I went to work every day, and I was in a really bad marriage. And it really took me and put me in a dark place. And I didn't want to lose my kids, and I didn't know what to do. So getting high just made it easier. And then we ended up separating, and I had gotten full custody of the kids, but I wasn't ready for that. I was already so far gone.
You got full custody,
Yes, sir.
but you couldn't handle it.
I couldn't handle it. I couldn't take care of myself, much less kids.
How did you wind up at Men of Valor the first time?
I was incarcerated in Smith County, and I filled out like 8 or 9 applications for halfway houses. Nobody called back. Men of Valor was the only place to call back. And so I figured, I knew it was hard. I'd heard about Men of Valor in previous times, and I needed a change. And so I got out, and I felt ready. I felt ready to change, and I was doing good, but it was still all about me. I stayed with this girl I was dating, and God revealed to me that she wasn't no good for me. But I stayed with her. I kept praying that she would change. And I was putting myself in these situations, being around things I shouldn't have been around, and I thought I was good. You know, for months I was putting myself in these situations, and one bad day and one bad decision later, I slipped up.
When did God get real for you?
After that relapse, I knew from at that moment what I wanted and what I didn't want. I didn't want to be a screw up no more. I didn't want to let my kids down no more. I wanted something more out of life. And so I'm sitting in rehab and really evaluating my situation in my life. And I started praying to God to give me His strength and His courage to do the right thing, to make the right decisions. And so I get out of rehab, and about a month later, there was some guys come talk to us about a Navy SEAL workout. That was 12 hours long. And so I went and did it, and I made it through it.
Did you?
I wanted to quit, like after 20 minutes, I wanted to quit. But me and a few other guys, we finished it, and I felt good about myself. And about 4 days later, I went out to the weight gym to work out, and I felt something pop in my neck. And I woke up the next morning, and it was like I slept on my neck wrong. And within a few days, the pain was so unbearable. I went to 2 doctors that couldn't figure out what was wrong. I didn't have the insurance, so they didn't do MRIs or anything. It was so bad I had to have my roommate put my socks on. I couldn't even get a shirt off the hanger. But I didn't miss one day of work. And I didn't miss no classes. I didn't miss a day in church. And I did all that trying to show God my faithfulness. Because looking back on my life, God was always there. God always had His hands on me. Looking back, I can see times where His Spirit tried to keep me out of trouble, and I just wouldn't listen. I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I told God told me that it was going to be all right, that He had me to show my faith in Him. And I did. I had days that hurt so bad, I just wanted to take something to get the pain to stop, but I didn't. I held strong. And I was working at Cultivate, and we had a volunteer lady that I'd never talked to in my life. Picked me up at the farm one day and took me to her neck doctor. And within a couple of weeks, I had surgery. I had blown out 2 discs in my neck.
Wow.
And man, just the love of God through other people.
I just love your determination, oh, Michael. There's a determination to prove yourself and to let God change you and help your life. You know, our programs put a word on it. Have you got a word for me?
I do. Perseverance.
There you go.
James 1:2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And then it goes on in 12 to say, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him."
You know what the beauty of the relationship with God is? One is that you determined by yourself, Lord, I'm going to do this for you. And then he helps you, and it's a partnership so that you feel stronger about yourself, but God gets the glory. You feel that?
Yes, sir.
I can see that in you. That's wonderful. Michael, you're going to be a success this time.
And you know, if out of all this pain and this hurt and this struggle that I went through, if I could lead one person to Christ or lead somebody out of addiction, all of it was worth it. All of it was worth it.
You will. God bless you, my friend. I sure enjoyed talking to Michael, and I love the word perseverance. In his case, look what he's doing. He's about to graduate. He's come back, been determined to stay with it, persevered through it all. And I tell you what, good Lord's even going to reward him in a different way. In a few weeks, he's going to get a new set of teeth. There'll be a big smile from that face. Here's a man who now, back, reunited with his children, his life changed. He's determined. His perseverance is paid off. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next time as we put a word on it.